Sunday morning, Moramite here. Good morning, everyone. And good morning, Adrian Cain Castow.
Yeah, Tammy Brow. Good am I, Tammy Brow.
Fine.
Yeah.
That's good to know. And I'd say
Absolutely.
It's the best you're going to get ever a Manx person. Though.
Well, brow is the Manx word for fine. You say Castow, oh, Tammy Brow. But I suppose if you're doing really, really well, you can say brow, say it twice, fine, But yeah, no, that's pretty much as enthusiastic as you can get, I think, really.
From the Manx.
Oh, I.
Yeah. usually the Gullas Gag.
Gullas Gag, yeah. Gulda Dunnel, going bravely would be another one. Gulda,
right.
I'm going bravely, So, yeah.
That's one you don't hear very often now,
No, going bravely. Maybe not really, yeah. But in Manx, you could say, Tammy Gulda Dunnel and going bravely. So hanging on in there.
Yeah, that's a good.
It's all we can do in the end, isn't it?
That's
really?
a good old one for the farmers, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So what's been new since a month?
Well, yeah, lots of really positive stuff going on, I think, at the moment. And I think my job with Culture Van, and it's about trying to get the message to a broader audience, and I was lucky to be invited to go to British Irish Council meeting a couple of weeks ago in Belfast to do a Manx class, and also to let people know there about some of the work we do. And it's really positive, I think, and I've often said before that one of the things we try to do with the work at Culture Van and with the language is to ensure that we get a different story out there about the Isle of Man, and it's good to see people from other jurisdictions just thinking about the work we do about language, culture, and identity is really positive, and it sort of gives so it's good to be able to go to meetings and let people know about that, and to get positive feedback, and to get people thinking about the Isle of Man in an interesting and different sort of way, really.
Yeah, and how much do they? Obviously, the Celtic, a lot of the people who are interested in their own Celtic languages, I think, do have an overview of what's happening in the other Celtic languages, don't they?
Yeah, even if they're not, hopefully we'll be talking about social media today, and just over the last few days I've had lots of, on our Twitter account, a lot of feedback and comments and questions from a lot of Irish speakers about Manx, really. And so there is interest out there, and it's good to, you'd be surprised how much interest there is outside of the island about some of the work we're doing. And again, it's good to get that message across, really, and maybe change people's perceptions about the Isle of Man in small and interesting ways.
One thing that I will say, I think does help the Manx language is of course, we're just about starting started, I think. Next week's Shenica Stew starts, and I think it's a good, for people who are just starting out learning Manx, it seems to be a good little gathering just to get the feel from other Manx people and people from away.
I suppose Shenica Stew, which is, I suppose it mainly concentrates on music and dance particularly, but this year there will be a Manx language forum there. And again, that's something Culture Van is very happy to support. And even today, just starting at the Manx, I know you had Joe Collister in a few weeks ago, so today the Manx Folk Awards are starting, and that's, maybe 4 or 5 days of, an amazing amount of young children that's getting involved in music, dance, sort of Anglo-Manx dialect type stuff. So there's, over the next week, there's going to be a lot of sort of Manx cultural stuff going on. Manx Folk Awards starting today, and then later in the week, Shenica Stew, you're right.
Good. All right, we'll talk about them throughout the morning. And let me just tell you, I've got the Culture Van part of the Learn Manx on my screen here on the left-hand side. And every time I go to it, I look at it and go, wow, this really simplifies things, and you couldn't really go wrong with it.
Well, good. No, I think it's a good portal for the stuff we do regards to language. And there's a lot of stuff on there, news articles, videos, lots of sound files, and easy ways to access the language, really. So hopefully it's a good sort of portal for people to find out, how to go around learning Manx and use Manx, really.
Yeah, and what's nice about it is breaks it down to the very start of it. The first one, beginners lessons, is it lesson da
Toshak Darren, Toshak Darren. So good. It's a tough one. I use the word hoshacht in the weather report. When you start off with, you say hoshacht, and it's the same word as the Irish Taoiseach, Taoiseach and Taoiseacht.
Right.
They're basically the same word, really mean prime, primary or first.
Right.
So,
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Taoiseacht to begin with, and Taoiseach there in beginners, really.
Yeah. Good. And of course we get the Moromais and Fastamais.
Yeah, that's fairly straightforward.
The Failtort.
Failtort, yeah, welcome.
Yeah. And we used to hear that at least in the Manx Airlines days.
Yeah, I
wasn't it?
think using a bit of Manx, and we tried to encourage businesses to use a bit of Manx, whether it's just a simple Moromai or Fastamai, because I think it's a good way of showing the Isle of Man's not the Isle of Wight or Jersey or Guernsey, really. So even if you don't speak a lot of Manx, I think it's still, and Manx Radio's been, and Brian Ray, when he did the weather years ago, I think sort of groundbreaking, really, and just getting those incidental pieces of Manx out, really, which people recognise and like, really. So we'd certainly encourage more businesses, and when answering the phones, just to say Moromai or Fastamai, really.
And I must admit, when you look back, obviously Manx Radio was just the only island broadcaster back in the days, of course. And when we used to hear Brian Ray saying that, as you rightly said, it was a groundbreaking. And I think Andy Wint took up on this as well,
Andy Wint
and started the counting and the Manx and his numbers 1 to 10 and things.
No, I don't think you can underestimate the impact that Brian's weather forecast, just doing the Moromai stuff, had, really, and just showing that the language was accessible and, wasn't threatening in any way. And it was just a way of saying, look, this is the Isle of Man. I think, I think we need to, in some sense, not just for the language, but the island generally, need to be doing more of that sort of stuff, really. So, I'd encourage more businesses and people just, maybe answering the phone elsewhere, just say Moromai, Fastamai.
Good. And also, I think one of the things is on the shops where they have the
oh,
open
yes,
and close. Fóislet, is it?
Fóislet and Doonch, which we did a number of years ago. I think I've just about ran out of those. Again, that's something maybe need to produce more of as well. Yeah, again, it's all those just incidental ways of showing that the Isle of Man is, it's this place in the Irish Sea, really. So
Fóislet, open,
and Doonch.
Doonch.
Yeah.
And how do you spell that one?
Dooint.
Yeah, but it's pronounced Doonch.
Yeah. But Fóislet and Doonch. But again, just the nice ways, for people like the Moromai, Fastamai, for people who might, think, okay, we're not going to be able to, we're not going to learn Manx to a degree of fluency, but we like to just add a sense of Manxness to the place.
Yeah, and one of the ones as well, which I think a lot of people are learning, is Mish Simon.
Yeah, Mish. Yeah,
I am Simon.
Yeah.
Or my name is it?
Yeah, Mish, just Mish. Yeah, I'm Simon. Yeah,
but one of the ones I think is probably less known is when you ask who they are.
Yeah, Koyos. Who are you?
Koyos.
Mish, Adrian Koyos. So you'd say Mish Simon. But yeah, so any. I mean, our main online course is Say Something in Manx, which there's a link to on the website learnmanx.com, or you could simply Google Say Something in Manx, which I think is quite an innovative way of getting up and speaking Manx relatively quickly, really. If you want to get your brain tuned into a Manx language sort of way, have a look at Say Something in Manx. It's really very good.
Yeah, because you've got MP3s downloaded onto it as well, where you can actually hear somebody say.
Oh yeah, you've got to, really. And there's a big difference between the written and the spoken word. So you need to, in some sense, learning Manx, I think the key thing is just to listen and speak, really. And the Say Something in Manx course is very good at that, in that it basically, there's no reading or writing, really, and it's about listening to phrases and then repeating them until it gets you. It's very good. It gets you to think in a Manx language sort of way. And we worked for quite a while with a company in North Wales, Say Something, who produced an initial course in Welsh, which is groundbreaking, I think. So it was really good to work with them and get a Manx version of that done.
Okay, lovely. Fascinating this morning, as always, talking to the Manx Language Development Officer for Culture of Ireland, Adrian Cain. He's our guest on Moghrey Jedoonee this morning through until 12 o'clock. 26 and a half minutes before 11 o'clock. Adrian Cain and myself, Simon Clarke, on Moghrey Jedoonee. It means Sunday morning, of course, in Manx. And looking out the window, it's not been a bad few days.
No, to Yindasak.
Brow.
Yeah, brow. Greenock is sunny, and they Greenock J. It was sunny yesterday, and even went down the north. This Rumsage.
Down the north?
Oh yeah, I know. For a
Up the north, surely.
have a site in Ramsey, which is very good. But yeah, Greenock is sunny, Ellen is beautiful, and it was L and J. It was beautiful yesterday for sure.
Yeah, and that's had something to do with Ellen Vannon,
What's that? The
alien.
Oh, the alien. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
The word for an island in Manx is Ellion, but it's usually pronounced Ellen, I suppose. But you can pronounce it either way, yeah. But yeah,
Beautiful island.
a beautiful island
Yeah.
indeed, yeah.
And that's one of my favourite words, Yindasak in Manx. Wonderful, isn't it?
Well, it is Yindasak, yeah. Gindis, Tammy Gindis is I am wondering. Yindis is wonder, and Yindasak is wonderful. So we could say, to say a wonderful day, you would just Lair, we know Lair mean day, Lair Yindasak, a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Uns Mannin, a wonderful day in the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Ismanin, was it? You said there?
Yeah, I can't remember what I said then, but Lair Yindasak Unts, I suppose, in the Isle of Man. Unts, yeah. Lair Yindasak Unts Mannin. To say it's a beautiful day in the Isle of Man today, you would say Lair Yindasak Uns Mannin Jew. And Jew means today. So you can say Lair Yindasak Uns Mannin Jew. Wonderful day in the Isle of Man today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jew. Okay.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, lovely. Let's have the first of our Manx tracks this morning then, and it comes from a while back now. This one from Stare, from an album called Shilon Honic Me. This is a track, Adrian, Carna Ferishin, is that right?
Carna Ferishin, yeah, tune of the little people, I suppose. There's Shalong Honic Me, it's a ship I saw.
A ship I saw, and this one then, Car. When would it be Care?
Care, well, Care, C-double-A, means an opportunity in Manx.
Yeah.
I suppose the L-double-A bits can be pronounced different ways, like lair, I've said lair for day, but some people say lay, etc. So it's a bit of, like any language, a bit of variation and pronunciation.
All right, here's Carna Ferishin. There from quite a while back now, I think, that album, and that's called Shilon Honic Me, that particular album there, and it's always a talking point. I think that we spoke about the Manx music last week on the programme, and of course the Shennica Stew Festival getting underway this week as well, and the Manx Folk Awards, so that seems in good spirits.
Oh yeah, I think there's lots of positive stuff going on, really. I'd say Shennica Stew has got been around for a little while now, originating in Ramsey, and again that mainly concentrates on the sort of the music and the dance side. Manx Folk Awards, which has just gone strength to strength, mainly thanks to the hard work of Joe Collister from the department and Chloe Woolley, who's the music officer at Culture Van, and they've really pushed that, and it's just got bigger from year to year. So it is quite remarkable to see how many kids are involved in Manx music and Manx dance in some shape or form. So I suppose that's a broader, and there's much more going on in schools generally, I think. So that's sort of a broader positive move in the culture, really, and interest in it. So that's really positive stuff. And then on top of that, some of the work we do at Culture Van, but we also give out grants to a lot of individuals and organisations. So Shennica Stew gets support from us, and Cruniach does as well. So these these festivals such as Shennica Stew and Cruniach, and indeed the Manx Folk Awards, are down to the hard work of a key amount of individuals, really. But it's good that they get the respect for that, and also that loads of people just simply get enjoyment out of it, really.
Yeah, and it's a great way, isn't it? Even if some of the younger kids are learning some of the songs and tales in Manx, and even if they may not understand the translation side of it, eventually they will ask, "What does this mean?" Or they're going to ask what that word means.
And there's lots of really positive stuff done in a wide range of schools, really, and it's hopefully it's little by little. I think, and hopefully over the last 5 and 10 years, there's been a growing interest and support for all this sort of stuff, and hopefully that'll continue, really. And I know certainly Culture Vannon's keen to think of new and innovative ways of spreading the message, and certainly a lot of the stuff we do, not the only stuff, but we think we have a very good presence on social media, whether it be Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. Both the Culture Vannon stuff generally and the stuff I do, which is more language focused. So, if you want to see what we do on Facebook, it's Culture Vannon, and the stuff I do is Learn Manx. I know James, who does the Culture Vannon Facebook page, puts a lot of work into some really innovative posts, which get really, really positive feedback. People really like it, enjoy it. Small videos about cultural traditions, photographs, oral history type stuff, and that's gone from strength to strength, and it's a good way of getting the message. It's not specifically about Culture Vannon, it's about the island, really, and its cultural traditions, and it's good to see such a positive response from people and an interest in that aspect of the work we do. It's not the only aspect, but it certainly helped us get the message out to an increasing, a different cohort of people, really. And again, I spend a lot of time on Twitter in particular, and again, I'd say over the weekend, lots of interesting comments from people in America, Australia, Ireland, etc., about some of the work we do. So that's good.
Okay, well, we're talking about more about the online and social media parts of pushing the Isle of Man, what's got to offer, and what's here and what you can learn from it as well. Talk about that later. It's 17 minutes before 11 o'clock. Second out of Moghrey Jedoonee here on Manx Radio, live from Douglas, here in the Isle of Man. And Adrian Cain is with me this week. And social media, we were just getting started on before the news. Something I think you were always keen to get going, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, it's always it's always something we've certainly pushed, really. Just as I was saying before, it's a good way just to get the message out to a different sort of audience, really. And I don't use social media a great deal personally, but I think things like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook are a sort of valuable resource, really, and people can engage. I know they can be sort of bite-sized types of information, but with certainly Culture Vannon, we've got a massive amount of video footage, which we've done over the years of, wide interviews, wide range of things. So you can get it out then in bite-sized chunks to people, really, which people like to engage in and like, really. So it's just given us another way to get the message out, really, let people know about the work we do, and also just to let people know what a great sort of cultural tradition we have here, I think.
Yeah, and when you say you mentioned about the bite-sized way, I think that's one of the good ways that you get people to learn, Adrian, isn't it? Not too much at once.
No, it's like anything, really. I mean, you're trying to, I suppose the work I do in particular is trying to raise the profile of language, and we've done some good social media stuff on that. We've got some, I must tweet them later on, some good weather gifs, which have been really, have gone down well. And before Christmas on Culture Vannon's Facebook page, we did a series of a sort of a Manx Gaelic Advent calendar, which went down really well. And again, it's just, little bits of Manx, appropriate for Christmas, lets people engage in ways they're comfortable with, and and some lovely pictures done by Mary Cousins, really, of the library, so the family library. So they've gone down really well, and we've got more sort of plans like that at the moment on Twitter and Facebook. I'm doing a word a day from Archibald Cregeen's 1830 dictionary, really, which is again sort of introducing some old words to sort of a new audience, really. Sort of words which some of them might have been lost, not all of them, but again, it's just slightly hopefully we can use social media in creative ways to get the message out.
What's the word for today?
The word for that, I'll get back to you.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I'll check that. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the word for today is, but yeah, it seemed a good idea at the time, taking words out of Archibald Crageen, until I suddenly realised I was going to do one for every day of the year. But nevertheless, it's just slightly creative and innovative sort of ways of getting the message about the Isle of Man's cultural traditions, really, and people like to engage in that, and so it does give us really good opportunities, and people can dip in and out, really, I think.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, we'll go into that in a second. 11:20 it is on a Sunday morning, and Adrian, we're talking about you hear the what's on there, people promoting it on social media. And I suppose if you look at 4 or 5 years ago, Facebook and that was it, but there's so many platforms now.
Yeah, so many platforms. You can't engage with them all, to be brutally honest. And I suppose from the work I do, it's mainly, not exclusively, Facebook and Twitter, really. And I suppose both get different slight of audiences. There's also Instagram. Snapchat, I don't know really anything about. So there's a wide variety of social media platforms. And I know social media's had a bad... certainly Facebook hasn't had a very good week at all. But from our point of view, I suppose it is trying to get that message out to slightly different audiences. And we talking before about, I was doing the Archibald Crageen, a word a day for the year on our Learn Manx Facebook, and also by following me, Grenada, on Twitter. The word for the day is bogasach, which means boasting.
Really?
Okay, yeah. And there's some brilliant... it's a fantastic dictionary, the 1830 Archibald Crageen dictionary, and hopefully we'll have someone in at some other time to talk specifically about that, because it's a great, it's just a great, work of culture, really, and not least some of the English definitions of Manx words. So today we've got bogasach, boastful, and tomorrow it's jumalach, which is wasteful, lavish, destructive, or... Yeah, wasteful, lavish, or destructive. Jumal means to waste in Manx, and jumalach, wasteful. So we're just trying to share some words and, trying to be a little bit creative how we get the language out, because some people want to know a little bit of Manx, some people would like to learn a lot. So you've got to try and hit different audiences. But I suppose social media helps you do that, and, we'll continue to use it in hopefully creative ways, really.
Yeah, I suppose is there access to links and things that?
All the stuff we do really is either links to stuff on our website like Culture Van and Manx Music or Learn Manx, but lots of we've been producing, and James at Culture Van have been producing lots of videos about traditions such as Shelgan Drain, the camming match, lots more in the pipeline, which it's also good to let people know there's lots of people engaging culture in different sort of ways, really, and it's people like to be reminded of that, I think. And I think I was sort of saying before, it's always difficult to find maybe space regards sport often dominates, but there's lots of people involved in art and culture in the islands, and it's good to try and find space for that and let people know what's going on and try and get more people involved. So such things as Hunt the Wren, Shelgan Drain has certainly grown over the number of years, and hopefully some of the ways in which we've been trying to promote it have encouraged more people to get involved.
Yeah, well, I've been involved in the Hunt the Wren a few times. Yeah,
good enough.
Yeah, and but the thing about it is it's a very simple way of getting involved, in a way, isn't it? The dance isn't overcomplicated. That's one thing for certain.
No, certainly not. And there's loads of people in Port St Mary, on St Stephen's Day, Boxing Day last year now, of course, isn't it? And it's good to see that grow year on year. And it's in that sense, I suppose, like a lot of the work we do, we might be talking about music or language, but ultimately it's about community, I think, and that's at the core of what we do. It's about trying to reinforce those bonds of community, because that sense of community is the thing which makes the Isle of Man stand out, I think. And there's lots of really positive community sort of stuff. We just hear you're doing the what's on about, Beach Buddies and Derby and doing that sort of stuff. And a couple of weeks ago, we're developing a Manx language group to work with beach buddies to clean Perwick Beach and Port St Mary on a regular basis, but just do it through the medium of Manx. And again, it's just a great way to learn a bit of Manx and practice your Manx, but it's also that sense of community. And I think those people who go on to be good Manx speakers get involved in that community feel, really, because that's what it's ultimately about.
A text in saying that what are they going to do with all the sofas and fridges that they find out? You're so harsh in my own village. Goodness me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, okay. 25 minutes past 11. Time for this. No, 22. Can't read my own clock now. But things are going good. There's plenty going on, certainly, Adrian, isn't there?
There is, and I think you always need to remember that, really. With relatively little resources, I think, things have changed fundamentally over the last 20 years. The Isle of Man's changed a lot, hasn't it, really, over the last 20, 25 years? But it's good to see that there is still space in, rapidly changing island for the culture, the language, the music, etc. Because they do add a sense of place. And I suppose a lot of the work we do, say at Culture Van and elsewhere, it's all about place and community. It's being as inclusive as possible, and I think people generally welcome it. It makes the Isle of Man different and what it is, really, that sense of community, culture and place. And like the social media is just one way of trying to get that message out and getting people to engage. But ultimately, you're probably not going to learn a language through social media. You're going to learn it through coming to our classes, meeting people. And those people who go on to speak Manx, I think, are those people who engage in the community, really, the community of Manx speakers who make friends, love, what the challenges and the frustrations of learning Manx, get out and meet other people, give it a go. And that's all, they're all really good things to do, really. So it's that sense of, the Manx culture will continue to be strong in the music scene, the language scene, I think, as if we remember that it's all about culture, place and community.
Yeah, and I must admit, when I look back at some of my friends who decided they were going to learn a bit of Manx, and I remember them going up to yourselves and Brian Stoll when we was out and about at things, and just that slow, odd words of Manx, just getting to grips with it. And now, where they going?
Yeah, no, I know. And it's, learning language is hard work when it boils down to it. There are some people who can learn languages relatively quickly. So, I suppose you get natural sports people, don't you, and musicians who people seem to be annoyingly good at things. Not like me. It's hard work for me to learn Manx. And for most people, it's a struggle. It takes a little while. But I think those people who do go on to, ultimately to learn Manx, I think you have to sort of attitude, well, I'm going to do it, really, and I know I'll make mistakes, and it'll be difficult at times and frustrating, annoying, but I'll give it a shot. But also, I think those who go on to become part of a community of speakers, really, meet new people, have friends in the language, and just become part of a sort of language movement in a sense, which, where they want to try and use more of the language more of the time, really.
It's funny when you look at we were playing. My young fella's 6 now. We were playing. Yeah. He plays Monopoly, all sorts of things.
Right.
Any games, you learn Cluedo, things like that.
Yeah, okay.
Play Monopoly. He didn't land on Mayfair.
Yeah.
So I bought it. He always says, "Don't buy it, Dad, because I don't want it."
Yeah.
And anyway, I bought it and took the big. And we lost in the end.
Oh, right.
And took the big huff and the salt. Well, still adults do, I think, during Monopoly as well.
Certainly I would, yeah.
But anyway, I said to him, look, you can learn a lot more about losing than winning, and anyway, we were doing something last week. We were on the big raffle, big prize draw or something was on. We bought a load of tickets and we didn't win, and I ripped the tickets up and put them in the bin. And he says to me, "We learn more about losing."
Well, it's a very wise man.
Yeah,
it's very wise.
He's shut me in his bedroom for a week.
Very wise sort of saying down there in Derby, I think. But yeah, and in some sense, learning Manx, it's like learning anything, really. You can only ultimately learn by making mistakes and getting annoyed and confused and stuff. And I think those people who go on to learn Manx really just have the attitude, sorry, I'll just do it, I'll do it. But it's that sense of community, I think, and place. Those who go on to learn it really get involved in the community, have a sense of belonging to something, come out when we do the sort of beach buddies in Manx, come to events, and have a good time and meet people, and ultimately, I said that's what it's about. It's about culture, place, and community.